Hi YouTubers, this is another video from your friendly neighborhood reviewer, Evelyn. So today we're going to be reviewing another Korean drama series. This time it's The Extraordinary Attorney Woo, or in the Korean translation, Lee Sang-han, Byung-ho-sa, Woo Young-woo. You can find this series on Netflix. It's comprised of 16 episodes, and let me tell you, it's the best series they could have written in Korea. When the Koreans do the shows, when they write it right, the script writing is so powerful, it just blows your mind. So the main protagonist is Woo Young-woo, played by Park Eun-bin. Well, her main thing is she has a disability of autism, but the more functional aspect, like Asperger's, in which she is obsessed with law and she's trying to be her own person. And then of course that she's there living with her dad. In the first few episodes, we see that she's newly gets a job in a big law firm called Hambada. Correct me if I'm wrong about the pronunciation. And we see her struggles of her trying to interact socially. We get flashbacks of the dad trying to understand his autistic daughter and what could that mean. Because when the flashbacks, we see that Woo Young-woo as a child wasn't speaking at all. But we found the only way that she could speak was to talk using, the vocabulary from law books. Because Woo Young-woo's dad used to be a law student. We don't know what happened that caused him to not follow the Korean law, and we don't know what happened to Woo Young-woo's mother. So that's the big mystery. And as well, the other big mystery is why the head of the law firm Hambada, this woman, employed Woo Young-woo, even though all the other law firms didn't because of her disability. The show really points out the struggles with people with autism, of how they get rejected in the Korean society, let's say. As well, in all countries, there's always going to be hardship with disabilities. Not everybody's going to understand. So Park Eun-bin, I've seen her in The King's Affection when she was pretending to be a guy. And now she's done it again with another transformative role of embodying a person with autism. You believe her, you don't see that it's nothing, fake or disingenuous. And she brings these subtle kind of mannerisms of showing expression. As far as I'm aware, people that have autism, it's not like they don't feel nothing at all. It's just they feel things in a different way that an average person may feel, let's say, of quote-unquote normal. Normal is relative to an own person's perception. So Woo Young, in each episode, she's developing herself within the law firm. First, her superior, the guy there, I think Jung Myung-suk, he kind of has his reservations and tells his boss about, did you read the second page that she has autism? But by the second to third episode, Jung Myung-suk is on Woo Young-woo's side. We can really see the team forming around her. And of course she has now the friendship with Cho Sung-young. At first, she was hesitant of having Woo Young-woo there because apparently in law school, Woo Young-woo had a higher IQ and she was first in everything, but then again, she was bullied. So of course, in the Korean show, they kind of put that perception. If you've seen the movie Rain Man with Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman, they have the perception with autism that the person may look another part of themselves that makes them not super intelligent, that more focused into retaining information. And that's what Woo Young-woo brings. It's very similar to The Good Doctor, that I knew the original show was was Korean, but then they remade it in ABC, the American version. So we see the similarities there, but nevertheless, the story is powerful because Woo Young, she wants to be taken seriously as a lawyer, and she doesn't want her autism to stop her. But then again, unfortunately it does, because I'm gonna skip forward to episode 7. Episode 7 is the case when they take on to save this whole town for a new railway train to stop it from being done through the town that will cut the town in half, like the neighborhood. So the big neighborhood will be divided. So at this point, Woo Young is more confident, more talking, showing her skills, but people around her are jealous, particularly the other guy that's also another colleague of hers, Tae Sung-min, the guy. He's extremely jealous of her and he wants to get rid of her, which is extremely irritating. I read some comments that people said, well, I guess, he recognizes her as a threat And the thing of autism, he makes you, okay, I can understand that, but don't do dirty tactics. That's the only thing I can. And also by episode 7, the father realizes that Woo-young is going to confront, we assume it's the mother, who works for the other law firm of Taesu, I believe, which is headed up by, I believe, the founder of the company, like this woman called Tae-su-min, that we see that she's vying to be a high-level politician. And we have a little brief kind of background in which she's getting interviewed by this other guy saying that, you know, she has married, has a son, but then again, there's this rumor that she had a child floating around, which she quickly dismisses. So we have to really assume, and then by, I think it was episode 6, when Cho So-young takes Woo Young-woo to the shopping mall, which she, you know, really hates, I can understand that. We see that Tae Su-min is there also shopping. So they kind of like, you know, when you walk past by another person and you're like in your own headspace and you don't realize that you passed by somebody that you knew. Both of them do. But before that, we see that Tae Su-min, she's a young girl, like put a shoe back, but not arrange it, you know, in an organized way. So Tae Su-min goes and arranges the shoes in an organized way, and at the same time, Woo Young-woo is there, kind of like fixing these clothes that kind of crumpled up, not really arranged properly. And then it tells the viewer that, you know, it's 100%, it's like a paternity test, 100% that they're mother and daughter. And the reasons why that Tae Su-min went and abandoned Woo Young-woo, we have yet to find out. That's one of the big mysteries. By the end of episode 7, Tae Su-min is on the opposite side with the developers, and Woo Young and her team are there trying to save the neighborhood. Now let's get to the big juicy part. The big juicy part here is Lee Jong-woo, played by Kang Tae-oh. He works there as a different, not a lawyer, maybe the investigative side. He's there bringing the paperwork, driving the lawyers to certain places for investigation. I consider his work part private investigator and part secretarial work. From the start, we see the character of Lee Jong-oh. This guy is the most kind person ever, the most understanding, and then we kind of see it as he falls in love with a fairy, because Woo Young-woo, Park Yoo-bin, she brings this kind of like mythical fairy type to the character. Of course, as well, that Woo Young has this deep obsession with whales. It calms her, it soothes her. So it's kind of like this magic world that she lives in. And Lee Jong-woo kind of falls in love with that. But he has yet to really say, you know, proper feelings, why he has feelings. Maybe I could see due to Woo Young-woo's honesty and like purity about her. But then again, in episode 7, Cho So-young catches on that Lee Jong-woo has feelings for Woo Young-woo, and she's become a real good player for Woo Young-woo. She puts any sort of feelings she may have had to Lee Jong-woo and tells Lee Jong-woo the reality of being with somebody with autism, that, you know, at first could be nice, but then again, the repetitive nature of a person with autism could probably wear a person down, and that if he has genuine feelings to say, but if his temporary feelings don't lead her on, you know, don't be nice to her, don't be fake. And Lee Jong-woo goes and confesses that his feelings are not temporary, he does feel something, and we can see him getting emotional about it. And the ultimate end part of episode 7 is when Woo Young-woo asks Lee Jong-woo a question, but I'm kind of like skipping over the other best friend that Woo Young-woo has, which is Dong Koo-rami, played by Jo Hyun-young. She has a supporting role, this actress, but she's like the #1 best friend that helped Woo Young through high school. And she's there talking to Woo Young as a real person. That she takes all Woo Young-woo's quirks into it and challenges Woo Young-woo to go forward. And Woo Young-woo, we can see she really appreciates that. And of course, they have that classic greeting when they go, Woo Young-woo, which is always so sweet. And Dong Koo-rami, she's the one that, you know, she's very perceptive. She's the one that sees that Lee Jong-woo likes Woo Young-woo. We haven't get to the laugh part, but we can see there's feelings, and she pushes Woo Young-woo to explore those feelings. And Woo Young-woo like says, how can I tell if I like him? And then she says, well, touch him. And if your heart rate accelerates, that means you like him. And of course, this is very natural because with people with autism, from what I've seen, it's hard to have person-to-person contact. So that act was probably really tough for her. And then we get to the end of the episode where Lee Jung-hoo has taken Woo Young-woo back to the office. They're about to leave, but Woo Young asks Lee Jung-hoo a question, whether she can just touch him once. And that leaves Lee Jung-hoo stunned. He's like, okay, like, I don't know. And then she says, can I just touch you once so I can know if I like you? And then he's like, he's like, a light bulb goes in his head, and then he goes and asks, Woo Young-woo, is touching me the only way you know that you can like me? And then she explains, if I could touch you and if my heart rate is really fast so I can see whether I like you. And then he's really playful. It's like we see a different side to Lee Jung-woo. He's like, he's very delicate. And then he asks, so the times that we're not touching, and your heart doesn't race, you don't feel anything, then he's like, I'm disappointed, but with a playful smile. And we see him going closer and closer to Woo Young-woo, and she's there like petrified, and then she closes her eyes and we think they're going to kiss, but they don't show what happened at all. And as a viewer, you're left going, no. But then the episode ends where Woo Young-woo was racing back home. You could tell she's a bit flustered. We don't know what happened. We don't know her real feelings. And then her dad, Woo Kwon-ho, tells Woo Young the truth about, since he was friends with the boss of Hambada, that the inference is that the boss went and gave Woo Young the job because she knew her dad. That's the inference. But then again, we don't know if that was for real. And the second part to this is that the boss of Hambada, the female boss, she wants to take down Tae Sung-min and be a better law firm than hers. So Woo Young-woo's father has this conversation with his friend / boss of the law firm, that not to use his daughter. Like, he says he's grateful for her giving his daughter a job, but he's only going to allow it once. In which he tells all of this to Woo Young-woo, and then she's left shocked. She's like, did I get this job out of nepotism, like out of favoritism? And her dad is trying to explain that he couldn't bear anymore seeing his daughter discouraged. But then Woo Young-woo really does tell it. She tells the truth. She's like, she basically tells her dad to stop treating her like a child, that she's an adult, that if bad things happen, that she wants to learn how to cope with it. And the end of the episode has her running off from the restaurant because her dad owns a kimbap restaurant. So the assumption that they live upstairs, and the dad is obviously left shocked, like calling after his daughter. So that's, for episode 1 to 7, I would love to dissect every single little part, but every single episode is like case by case / the office politics / the main romance. This show is really great. That's the only thing I can say. And I can't wait to see episode 8 today. So this is the end. As I leave you guys, also leave a comment below. What's your favorite moments from the show? And what was your expectations and conspiracies? Because there's the conspiracy going on that the other male colleague, what's his name? Sung-min, the guy that really hates Woo Young-woo, that he could be the son of Woo Young-woo's mother, making them both half siblings. Oh, Kwang Min-woo, like whether he's the half brother of Woo Young-woo. So that's the big mystery there. Anyway, see you guys.